Thank you for joining us today. Jesse and I are excited to talk to you about digital marketing for hospitals, a patient-centric approach. Our agenda today, we will be going through setting the stage, an overview of healthcare from a digital marketing from a patient perspective. After that, I'll walk through the evolved digital labs approach to hospital marketing, while I'll discuss the frameworks for becoming patient-centric. We then put that framework into action with a case study of a real evolved digital labs client using digital marketing to reach the right people for less money. So introductions. I'm Morgan Wallace, the Director of Business Solutions at Evolve Digital Labs. My role at Evolve is to provide insights into how Evolve's products and services can best create success for client-specific needs within their industries. I have more than 10 years experience in marketing, both in corporate and consulting roles. I develop marketing commercialization strategies to help clients such as Merck, Johnson & Johnson, Pfizer, and Daiichi Sankyo maximize value from their brands and products. I hold an MBA from the New York University Stern School of Business and a BA from the University of Chicago. I'm joined here by Jesse Eisman,
Hey everyone,
the Business Development Manager for North American Channel Partnerships at Google. Jesse's role at Google is to support agency partners, including Evolve Digital Labs, by providing them with strategic insights for their advertisers, exclusive access to beta advertising solutions, and agency-wide training opportunities to ensure they remain up to date on best practices. Prior to joining Google, Jesse began his career at Young and Rubicam Advertising, where he worked with Fortune 500 clients, advising them from account management and strategic planning perspectives. Jesse holds a BA from Columbia Business School and a BA from Washington University in St. Louis. So I'll now turn it over to Jesse.
thanks Morgan. It's a pleasure to be here. As Morgan was saying, I'm a business development manager for the Google Agency Program. We partner with an exclusive group of agencies who we believe lead by example. I've been working with Evolve Digital Labs for some time now, and over the course of this partnership, Evolve has earned the distinction of the Google Partner Badge. Only trusted agencies can earn Google Seal of Approval. They've demonstrated advanced AdWords knowledge and expertise by using our recommended best practices to maximize their clients' performance. The Google Partner Badge shows the world that Google trusts Evolve Digital Labs, and that potential clients can too. That being said, Evolve is doing some very exciting things in the healthcare services space. Today we're going to talk about best practices as it relates to digital marketing for hospitals. I'll provide an overview of how the patient's journey to treatment is changing, and then I'll hand it over to Morgan, who will walk you through Evolve's methodology for developing patient-centric marketing campaigns, as well as a case study which should really bring it to life. So let's jump right in. Setting the stage. I'm going to give you Google's overview of the healthcare digital marketing space. So this slide represents the traditional path to treatment, which begins with a stimulus and is followed by 2 moments of truth. Before I go through this model, let me explain what I mean by moments of truth, just in case you're unfamiliar with this popular marketing concept created by Procter & Gamble. According to P&G, a consumer makes up his or her mind about a product in about 3 to 7 seconds, just about the time it takes to note a product on the store shelf. This time lapse is called the first moment of truth, and it's considered by many to be the most important marketing opportunity for a brand. Just to give you an idea of how important, P&G actually created a position called Director of First Moment of Truth, whose role is to produce sharper, flashier in-store displays. So now that we've cleared that up, let's walk through this slide. First, you have a stimulus. Someone gets sick. This stimulus is eventually followed by the first moment of truth. The patient consults a doctor, family, and friends who share information they have with the patient. Finally, we arrive at the second moment of truth. The patient makes a decision with going for a treatment or going to a facility. So this model is fundamentally changing as more and more people come online. As the online audience has grown, so has the online audience for people looking for health information, growing from about 1 in every 4 people to about 3 in every 4 people, all in just over a decade. As new devices become increasingly available to consumers, we're observing rapid growth in patients booking appointments online. Today, approximately 1 in 5 patients book appointments via their desktop computer or mobile device. With all of this disruption, a new moment of truth has emerged. At Google, we call this the zero moment of truth. In this new model, after the stimulus comes the zero moment of truth, in which patients go online to learn about conditions, treatment options, and find others dealing with the same condition. From there, they choose to see a doctor, and so on. I think it's important to call out here that the zero moment of truth and the first moment of truth are not always linear. Someone might research online and then go to a doctor and then research some more, or go to a doctor and then go online, etc. There are different variations, but the highlight is that both the zero moment of truth and the first moment of truth are now happening. To better understand how digital influences patients as they research treatment centers and contact them to book a stay, Google recently partnered with Compete, a third-party research vendor, to deliver and develop a comprehensive user research study. This study was an analysis of over 300,000 users who visited a hospital website in the last 12 months. Compete identified these users and tracked their online activity over the course of a year across search engines and web properties. We analyzed their online behavior from the starting point of their research until the point of conversion, which we've defined as taking a certain action on a hospital website. For example, a user might click on Find a Location, Schedule or Request an Appointment, Refer a Patient, Contact Us, or Find a Doctor. Now, we'll be using the word conversion throughout this presentation, which essentially is the moment a prospective patient becomes a lead. The results of this study were remarkable, giving for the first time a deep look into the mind and psychology of the prospective patient. What we learned from prospective patients is the following. Firstly, search is indispensable in the patient journey. It is intricately tied to brand and can influence what users think about hospital brands. Second, mobile is the patient's constant companion. It's an extension of the desktop device, used at all times and in all places, and will become significantly important in the coming years. And lastly, online video is not just a platform through which hospitals can tell stories and engage prospective patients, but is an important educative tool that informs and connects users with information about their health and their hospital options. So now that we've taken a look at the overall digital environment that prospective patients find themselves in, let's dive into the indispensable role that search plays in the patient journey. Diving a bit deeper into user behavior, we see that patients are searching in diverse ways. We found that there were about 4,000 unique search paths that were used in the research process by patients all over the country. These paths contained all sorts of different terms, were of various lengths, and didn't always lead to a conversion. While there is such great diversity, there are surprisingly still commonalities in the way people are searching. The top 20 paths, meaning the order and types of terms that people are searching on, represent 65% of patient paths. When we dive deeper into search paths for patients that ended up completing a conversion on a hospital site, we see that non-branded terms play a critical role at the start of their research. 90% of paths usually start with a non-branded term, either a symptom, department, disease, or treatment-related term. This is indicative of early stage research behavior. Users are more focused on understanding what they've been afflicted by and haven't yet gotten to the stage of finding a hospital brand and are still deciding between several. So what are the actual terms that users are searching on? We thought it'd be best to evaluate terms by bucket. The four that we determined were brand terms, symptom, doctor, or department-related terms, condition and disease-related terms, and lastly, terms around specific treatments or procedures. The patterns of usage that we saw among researchers, whether or not they ended up converting, were highly intriguing. Consumers use a wide mix of terms that cut across all categories, but are concentrated specifically on brand and condition-related terms. One could say that a big part of the research process is focused around selecting the right brand and better understanding of what condition the patient is experiencing. Now let's move on to mobile. There are more mobile patient moments than ever before. As you can see, year-over-year search queries for hospitals and health clinics have increased dramatically on phones and tablets, while desktop searches have remained essentially flat. As patients continue to search on their mobile devices, the importance of having a mobile-optimized website becomes increasingly apparent. More and more people are downloading apps and searching the web for healthcare-related information and services. The numbers are very telling. We've witnessed a 125% year-over-year increase in US mobile users who have accessed health information on mobile devices. So as we can see, the zero moment of truth is happening across mobiles. And our last key finding relates to video. Traditionally, marketers have generally considered television and digital video advertising to be awareness plays. However, in healthcare digital marketing, video doesn't simply tell a story, it leads to conversions. Today, prospective patients are engaging with video content across a variety of sources. They're going directly to hospital websites, watching on YouTube, and utilizing health information sites, among other sources. In our study, over half of patients who didn't watch any video said that they didn't watch because they didn't know such videos existed. This points to a huge awareness opportunity that we'll touch on in just a moment. But first, let's take a quick look at what users are watching. Users are largely watching reviews or testimonials that offer a subjective take on treatment at a particular facility. They're also watching a large amount of patient-generated content. These personal accounts of making it through chemotherapy or a similar type of intensive treatment are what patients want to see when watching this kind of content. They want to connect with patients on an emotional level, and they feel like they'll have a similar experience to what they see on the digital screen. So as I've just mentioned, not only are users taking actions such as sharing videos and talking about them with family and friends, but they're also going to hospital sites where they're more likely to convert. Year-over-year traffic going from YouTube to hospital sites increased 119%. Furthermore, video content is far more engaging than a static image. Directing people who have engaged with video directly to your hospital's website increases the likelihood that they'll convert once they're there. In our study, 30% of patients who watched an online video booked an appointment. So in short, the growth we see in those going to hospital sites from video sites like YouTube is hugely important in acquiring new patients. So at this point in the presentation, we've covered a lot of material. Now let's put it all together with a simple example which demonstrates the variety of touch points to reach a potential patient during the zero moment of truth. So let's meet mom-to-be, Kelly. She's pregnant and at an advanced maternal age. At her first doctor's visit, she learned that the risks of pregnancy complications increase with age. After this doctor's visit, she decides to research hospitals online that best meet her needs. Enter the zero moment of truth. Kelly goes online for information and support. While we're on the subject, there are a lot of women like Kelly. 1 in 4 women have researched their pregnancy online, and approximately half of women have either tracked their pregnancy online or connected with other expectant parents on health topics. As Kelly navigates the maze of online health content and uses this information to make decisions about her health, how do you stand out and educate her on the services you can provide? Well, first, we want to reach Kelly when she's searching for you. With Google AdWords, you can be present on google.com as she searches for content. We also want to reach Kelly while she's researching and absorbing this content as well. This can be achieved over the Google Display Network. And finally, we want to reach Kelly as she's engaging with video. Let's not forget about the importance of how online video engagement strongly increases the likelihood of a patient converting after being driven to your site. I'd now like to hand the conversation over to Morgan, who will discuss Evolve's approach for hospital marketing in the digital space and present a case study which demonstrates the success they've seen by utilizing this approach. Morgan?
Jesse, thank you so much for walking us through what that patient journey to healthcare is and how the patient may find your hospital site. So in this section, I'll be talking through Evolve's approach, which are the frameworks and steps that a hospital can take to become more patient-centric. After we go over this approach, which is on a high level, we'll have a case study with concrete examples of putting these frameworks in action. So to begin, hospitals can be successful online. I want to say that again. Hospitals can be successful online. How do they do that? They need to offer comprehensive health care, a commitment to provide patients with long-term health solutions. Patients need to be able to utilize wellness tools the hospital offers to help minimize acute trips to the hospital. But we all know that hospitals aren't always as successful online as they may want to be. Why is that? Well, there's been a significant gap in communication between the patient and the hospital. Current websites for hospitals focus on things such as medical expertise, clinical trials, facilities, and treatment options. But there's been a change in expectations, such as what Jesse just described. Patients want to go from treating immediate health problems to reducing future health risks and diseases. And the right tools will allow healthcare organizations to more easily adapt to these new requirements in population health. So how can a hospital improve? The first thing is you need to understand the benchmark. Where are you now? And to do that, you need to do 6 things. The first, align your business goals with the online opportunity. Then find who your most valuable customer is. Then with that understood, discover the market size and what the scope of that opportunity. And then dig a bit deeper and see what are your barriers to growth. A lot of these barriers may come from the competition, so you need to have competitive intelligence. And then finally, you need to pull all of these different resources together in an easily understandable plan, which is about developing digital governance and standards. Now, how does Evolve take these checklists and turn it into something more comprehensible? Well, we have the patient-centric hospital matrix. Let me talk to you about what these different aspects are. On the y-axis, we have digital reach. This refers to how many potential patients your digital marketing gets in front of. On the x-axis, we have website features and functions. This refers to the depth of online capabilities which potential patients can engage with on your site. Some examples of this are being able to book appointments directly on the website, refill a prescription, etc. Now, as many of you know from Evolve's recently released healthcare report, we found that hospitals fell into one of these 4 categories. The best category in the upper right is patient-centric. Now, being patient-centric in the digital realm means that a hospital has to have the right tools and functionality for a patient, as well as the online presence to be easily found by patients. In the lower right, there's digital marketing improvement. These hospitals have most of the critical website functionality, but lack the digital footprint to get in front of the right patients. Then in the upper left corner, strong on digital reach, we have digital product improvement. These hospitals reach a lot of people, but lack that functionality that patients desire. Then the lower left, we have digital presence improvement that need aspects of both features and functions and reach to get to that patient-centric point. So now let's start and dig deeper into digital product improvement. How can we improve that product? Evolve has found 3 key ways to do this. First, develop patient-centric content and functionality. Second, align all of the communication systems. And lastly, cultivate digital talent. Now let's dig deeper into each of these 3 areas so you can better understand how you move from digital product improvement into the patient-centric bucket. So in terms of patient-centric content, what does that mean? You need to include content that speaks to patient need, incorporate functionality that serves a true purpose for patients, and then translate the offline experience of marketing to your website. In terms of communication systems, there's various service lines, procedures, and locations that often operate as single entities. With this, there's internal communication breakdowns that happen. And often these internal breakdowns are mirrored on the patient side externally. So lastly, you need to focus on the robust interaction between all parts of the network to make sure that the internal communications reflect positive external. And to do this, you need to have digital talent. To have that, you need to invest in your marketing team's digital IQ growth, and then focus future recruitment efforts on digital natives, people that really get it. Now that we've seen some things you can do to improve the product, how to improve the marketing? Well, there's 4 ways. There's leverage the advantages of online marketing, because online marketing really does have some unique advantages. Next is establish a singular brand voice. Next, integrate marketing efforts. And lastly, expect greater proficiency from your vendors. Let's see how each of these break down in ways that can help move you up the digital reach axis. So, like I said, online marketing is different. You need to leverage the unique advantages that it has. One piece is online marketing has immediate feedback. You don't need to put out a market research report, a contract for a market research report and wait a few months. You get immediate feedback on the most interested audience and key content and information that audience is seeking. Then you need to have a singular brand voice. Consistent voice and imagery across platforms is critical to building trust with patients. So you need to move away from legacy naming conventions and create a singular brand, no matter the number of locations. Then integrate the marketing efforts. Utilize the digital channels to maximize return on cross-channel marketing campaigns. Understand the patient needs and behaviors, and then optimize the spend across these channels. And last, you need to ask more out of your vendors. They need to have capability to partner with internal IT and marketing teams to drive the greatest benefit from initiatives. And they also need to understand the true key performance indicators from digital marketing campaigns. You need to understand what that final goal of the campaign is and track to the conversion, like Jesse talked about in his section. So now we've walked through that 30,000-foot view of the framework. Let's dig into a case study. Now, Evolve worked with a client, and through these initiatives we've spoken about, we've helped them drive 46% more online leads while lowering the cost for each of these leads by 25%. Let's see how we did it. Now, this client is a medical center in St. Louis that's nationally renowned for a narrow set of hospital procedures. They had a problem. They came to Evolve because they had been seeing a decline in patients that came to them through their website. They were already marketing online, but not effectively. So our proposed solution was to use search marketing strategies and tactics to cost effectively drive more leads. Now, to do this, there's a number of ways to judge success. We see mainly three. Now, in order to do that, you need to stop siloing how you look at online lead generation and instead pull all three of these aspects together and have a holistic approach. In the campaign, you can judge by impressions, average position of the ad in the search engine, and click-through rate. The website gives you other information, such as number of visitors, pages visited, and time on the site. But really, what are we here for? To drive growth. And that's where the financials come in. We need to understand the leads that the campaign drives, the acquisition rate, how many customers, how many patients do we have in the door, and then finally revenue. So let's take this picture and make it real with some actual example campaigns. So when this client came to Evolve, their digital marketing looked more like campaign A, and we made them look more like campaign B. Now on this level of metrics, the campaign metrics, it looks like what they're doing is pretty good. Driving twice as many clicks, a much lower cost per click, and a lower total cost. But it's not just about driving the traffic to your website, it's about what these customers actually do and how they then engage. So let's take a deeper look. Now, metrics like these are out of the side of the purview of most advertising campaigns, such as leads. This refers to customers converted, similar to Jesse's prior conversation on conversions. And then cost per lead, how much are you spending for each of these leads? And then how much revenue are they driving for you? Now, campaign B looks a lot stronger. Let's hit it home. The net gain from campaign B is $150,000, while the net gain from campaign A is just $80,000. And this is what digital marketing is all about. It's about optimizing for the best cost benefit. So what can you do to ensure you get to campaign B? Well, there's certain procedures that ensure online success. Now, in order to judge the performance on financial terms, you need to have that information available. Tools like Google AdWords and Analytics give a lot of great information on campaign and website success. But to understand financial success, there needs to be information on what happens after the website. Who becomes a patient? Who does not? This holistic information then needs to be successfully communicated within the organization in order to make the best decisions on where budget should be allocated in the future. Like I spoke of before, it's about learning, optimization, and immediate feedback. So let's go back to this case. What were our findings for this client? One, they were losing free traffic. Their site architecture and content were just not driving that traffic. And secondly, they were having a hard time gaining patients because of new competition. This client did their procedures in a hospital setting. And with similar procedures, there's private practices that offered them in office at a lower price point that was pulling potential patients away. So to solve these, some things take longer, others we could jump on right away. So with a better understanding of how the patient acts online, there's two immediate actions we could take in the paid search marketing campaign to drive better traffic. The first is keyword expansion. Now I know this is a bit of a technical word, so I'll explain what it means. Instead of just having a simple search, such as the name of a procedure, we increase the number and level of detail in the search terms, such as name of procedure and patient type. And then you can build this along with negative keywords, which are certain search terms that indicate a potential patient would be less likely to come to our client. An example of this would be name of that procedure and an in-office setting, something that our client doesn't offer. It's not worthwhile to put ads in front of people that have a low likelihood of becoming patients. So let's make this a little more real. Customer segmentation by what they're searching for. This keyword expansion and negative keywords help you get more granular and segment your customers better. The goal is to drive the most potential patients to the site that are in the least expensive segments. So here we have just procedure as red, the most expensive, and then moving down to the lower right, procedure and brand in green, the least expensive. So someone searching for your procedure, a procedure and your brand will be much less expensive to acquire than someone who's just searching and trying to learn more about what that procedure entails. Some other types of keyword segmentation are procedure and cost or procedure and location. These sit somewhere in the middle. Because our goal is to pay less for better customers. So how you do that is through these two things: customer segmentation, more granular and usable data. That then allows you to increase the investment on valuable terms. This happens because paid search works by bidding for keywords. So when you're more targeted towards who you want to reach, you're bidding less for the better customers, and then still be one of the first or one of the first ads they see, such as in the examples Jesse offered. This allows you to double down budget-wise on what works best. Now, we talked a lot about the data that you can gather post-website. And so this slide really is the most important one for this case study. This is how you develop the processes to gain that information to make better decisions. This is critical. This process allows you to understand why people become your patients and why others don't. Now, I understand that these are harder to institute than just putting budget against a new campaign. But without this, you're making decisions without full information. Let's walk through this process. It begins when someone converts into a lead. Say, gain more information or schedule an appointment. This conversion can happen across desktop or mobile. Some examples of conversion: someone filling out a form on your site, using a click-to-call from a mobile device, or calling a unique 1-800 number. Now, all of these data types can be captured. Now, at this point, the patient becomes a lead in your HIPAA-compliant customer relationship management system. We've now moved out of the realm of normal campaigns and into digital governance. Like I said before, it's about taking these different data sets and tying them together for the best results. Once the person is a lead in the system, you can follow up, send content to them either through traditional or digital channels. Then the patient has a choice. Do they make an in-office visit? Do they not? Do they then come and schedule a surgery? Now, with collecting all of this information, you can then layer that on other types of data and create real learnings. So let's use an example from what we did with this client. We had a hypothesis that a patient would not travel past another medical center with similar capabilities in these procedures. So our client's sitting there in Missouri, about the middle of this chart. Now, because we knew the geographic origin of the patient population, we could layer that information with the location of competitor medical centers. So we can see by this chart that there's a few states that have a lot of similar centers. Texas, Georgia, and Illinois all have more than 5. So now let's look at how much did we have to pay to drive patients from some of these states. So cost per lead by state, Missouri, as we would expect, is reasonable. Also, as we would expect from the prior slide, Texas and Georgia are quite expensive. As we can see, Illinois was red, and on this one it's blue. Why is that? Illinois has Chicago in the north and St. Louis easily accessible in the south. So certain patients would come south to St. Louis. So we could target those geographies. We also can see here that Michigan and Ohio are quite expensive. Why is that? They would not drive or fly past Chicago to come to St. Louis. So with this information, we could change the funding on a geographic basis for the campaign. These types of insights are what digital marketing can bring you. Insights that don't come from other types of marketing. So what does this all mean? It means ongoing optimization. Data allows client and partners to continuously optimize the utilization of marketing spend. You're not waiting long periods of time. Targeting, whether it's by geography, search term, or behavior, allows patients to be acquired at lower costs. The information on patient queries and behavior also allows better decisions to be made on what kind of content should be created. The more you know about what patients are wanting to learn, the better job you can do supplying them with that critical information. What are the outcomes? We talked about some of these at the beginning. They've been phenomenal. We've increased leads by almost 50%, while dropping the cost per lead by 25%. Now, by doing better targeting and bringing the right patient type to the site, we've been able to increase the conversion rate of visitor to lead by 30%. Phenomenal results. Well, I want to thank all of you for coming and spending time with Jesse and I today.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming from New York to St. Louis, Jesse. Now, we also thank you for coming in from all over the country and the world. Now, as a next step to learn more about what we talked about today and how that could improve your hospital's marketing and operations, call me, 1-844-GO-EVOLVE, or email me at morganw@Evolve Digital Labs. One more thing. We talked about some giveaways because we really appreciate all of you spending the last 40 minutes with us. So we'll be giving away one Nexus 7 courtesy of our good friends at Google, one complete PPC audit so you can understand where your hospital stands now and what it can do to improve. That'll be done by Evolve Digital Labs. And then 5 Google AdWords cards. Thank you so much. We hope to hear more from you in the future. If you have any questions, email us, call us. Thank you, and have a great day.
Take care.